Hi, my name is Christine D'Amico, and I'm back to talk with you about an aspect of emotional well-being, which is emotional regulation. And this is part of maintaining mental well-being as we grow and develop throughout our lifetime. So emotion regulation is how we manage our big emotions, what we do, the ways we respond. And it can be about the intensity of the emotion, the length of time that we have the emotion, the way we choose to express that emotion, both externally out in the world through yelling, laughing, whatever it is, or internally through blaming, anxiety, and stress. All those things tie to how we regulate our emotion. And this is something that researchers have been studying for quite a while in both children and adults. And I want to talk with you a little bit today about how we help build emotion regulation for children, how we support that process of developing that, and then also help you think about how you do it for yourself so that you can be there and be more supportive for the children in your life. So I want to give you an example of what emotion regulation looks like. I know for myself, I'm at work all day, lots of things happen, and at the end of the day, on especially tricky days or days where I'm really tired, I come home, maybe something really emotional happened, and I feel just completely overwhelmed by that emotion. And I will, instead of having the emotion and acting as if this is the truth and going, yelling, crying, whatever I could do about that emotion, I'll say to myself, hey, you're really tired. You've had a really long couple days. You should just take a minute, pause, sleep, and let's address this problem tomorrow. And by taking that time to talk to myself about the situation, I'm regulating my emotions. I'm taking time to consider something's going on here. Let's reflect before you actually act on the emotion that you're feeling inside. So that's the journey I want to help you be able to support your children in doing, and you as well. So it's a big skill to learn. When you think about these little kids trying to figure this out, they're trying to put together things such as their facial expressions, their motivations, the things they want, the things they might know that you want, the big experience inside their body. All those pieces come together and act on a child and an adult when we feel an emotion. And as a very young child, it's overwhelming. It's really hard to manage all of that. And so they just burst out. And you've all probably been at a mall and seen a child have a complete and total meltdown on the floor, kicking and screaming, with their emotions kind of flooding the mall and all of us there. We all get affected by the emotions that they're displaying in such a big way. Adults can do the same thing. When adults really let loose on their emotions like that, luckily it doesn't happen very often, it has a really big impact on the people around them. But that is a great example of people not regulating their emotions. That's what it looks like when we don't regulate our emotions. And for small children, they just don't have the skills to do it yet. So they rely on us. They rely on the adults in their life to stay calm through that and help them find their way back to calm. So that's our job when we have a child who's really unraveling in that way. They also can rely on their nookie or their blankie or their special bunny. Those things also can help a child to stay calm and make it through that big emotion because they don't have the internal systems built yet to manage it the way older children or adults can manage. So you can be there, be present to those children, and the more you're able to regulate your own emotions in that charged situation, the more you can help your children, your very young children, manage that tantrum experience. So as children age, they do build this internal structure for managing and regulating their emotions. And that internal structure can be adaptive, meaning it can help them build their mental well-being. It can help them increase their feelings of positive outlook on the world and on themselves. Or it can be maladaptive. And when it's maladaptive, they are not supporting their mental well-being. They are doing things that may be bringing them closer to some kind of a mental illness issue, maybe depression, anxiety, clearly stress. So we want to look at how our children are building this system around managing emotions, because there are ways that it helps them and ways they can build this system that actually traps them in a more challenging situation for themselves mentally and emotionally. So as the adults in these children's lives, what we're able to do is help them do things like learn to problem solve. If we take a child who's struggling with a big emotion and in a supportive and non-judgmental way, help them look for ways to solve their problems and walk through steps they can take to resolve this big emotion they're feeling, that can help teach them in a positive way how to deal with these emotions internally and build that regulation system for themselves in a way that's going to be adaptive and supportive for their well-being long term. We can also help them by helping them think about acceptance, letting go. That is a skill we spend our whole life trying to learn. It's a tough one, but we can start with our small children. When they can't get something they want, or they don't have control in the way they wish they had over a situation, you can help them learn the baby steps of accepting a reality or letting go of something that they can't have and moving through that emotion so that they can let go of it. We can also model that behavior ourselves. So when adults are able to model letting go or accepting something, that teaches the children to do it as well. It also allows them to experience an adult who's calmer, an adult who's not caught up in big emotion, because that adult is able to process their own big emotion in a way that is positive and increasing well-being for all those around them. So that's something to think about when you've got those young children trying to just begin to build that structure. And you want to support them in that area. With adolescents, you're going to want to realize they're struggling with more complex issues than the young children are in your life. And they actually, researchers have found, they actually struggle more with the maladaptive variety of emotional regulation. So they start to have to deal more with things like rumination, thinking about something over and over and over and over, not being able to let it go. That can really eat away at your well-being. They start to struggle with the idea of catastrophizing, where you take something small and blow it up into a giant issue that is, the largest thing that could ever go wrong in your entire life, when that's actually not where the reality of the situation lies. So those are things that can happen in adolescence that are less common in childhood. In addition, self-blaming, really, when something goes wrong or you have a big emotion, really turning it on yourself. I somehow caused this and I'm to blame. Or other blaming, turning it on to others. You caused this, you're to blame. And neither of those responses to big emotion are going to help them build that structure for regulating emotion that is going to be adaptive and help them build well-being. So as a parent of an adolescent or those who work with adolescents, watch for the development of those and help the youth in your life shift those in a different direction so that they can get out from under those traps and choose the problem solving, the letting go as a way to move through those big emotions. And for yourselves, you can do the exact same thing. As we grow and age, we are not immune to all four of those same challenges that I just reviewed for the adolescents. So definitely think about how you're managing rumination, catastrophizing, self-blame, and blaming others, because they really eat away at your well-being and don't solve any problems in the end. So I want to give you 5 tools or resources you can use to build emotional regulation for yourself or for your children. And to help you remember them, I'm going to tie them to parts of your body. So the first one is your hands. To build better emotional regulation for yourself or anyone else, you want to learn to accept, let go, and realize you can't control everything. There are things you can control, there are things you can't, and it really helps to realize the difference and give yourself some room to accept that there are limitations on what you can actually make happen in this world. The second is your heart. If you're able to reflect on these big emotions, think about what is happening without judgment and criticism, you can learn a lot from these big emotions. And you can do the same for the children or youth in your life. Again, reflecting without judgment, without criticism, allows you or others that you're reflecting with to learn some things from these emotions, and through that learning, build their emotion regulation. The third one is your mind. So if you think about your ability to problem solve, how can you look at this situation and come up with solutions or options or steps to resolve, address, reduce the emotional intensity of whatever it is you're struggling with, or your child's struggling with, or your adolescent is struggling with. So you'll want to think about ways to problem solve, again, in a supportive way. The fourth is distraction. And with that body part, we're thinking sight. See if you can find some ways to distract that 3-year-old who's having a meltdown as a way to shift their focus onto something else and move beyond that big emotion. For the adolescent or the adult, the distraction can be a way to shift your perspective. So if you take an adolescent really struggling with a situation in high school and you take them to a homeless shelter to feed meals to people who have no home, or to support elderly with a cause they're trying to fundraise for, you may be able to shift that adolescent's perspective from their intensity around the problem in the high school and see something from a larger perspective. You can do the same for yourself as an adult. So that distraction, as long as it's a healthy distraction, can really allow you to change your perspective and shift out of that big emotion or the traps that can be a part of those big emotions. The fifth one is your legs. So with your legs, I want you to think action. You're gonna want to use goal setting and taking actions to plan ahead about ways you want to manage your emotion regulation. So the more you're able to use goal setting to break some teeny baby steps into place for yourself so that you can step by step look at ways of changing how you respond. If you know that you're usually coming on with a big, strong response when you get angry, you may want to practice backing that off with these goals that you set for yourself to do that baby step by baby step, so eventually you can get that within a range that's comfortable for yourself or others around you. So there's the 5 things: the hands, the heart, the head, the legs, and the sight. All giving you tools to build acceptance, to problem solve, to get distraction, to set goals, and to learn from big emotions. All right, these skills benefit you and the children around you. And know there's another really cool thing about emotion regulation. When you are able to provide a supportive family environment to a child who has strong emotional regulation skills, that child has been found to be more what researchers call pro-social in the world, which means they are out there noticing people who need help and taking action to help them, which is really a big skill we want to build in our youth and in our adults in the world today. So know that the work you do to build emotion regulation in children and in yourself really ripples out beyond just you or your family. It can be a force that affects others around you, and it allows you as a parent or a teacher or someone who works with kids to really support those youth to help them both see your skills in emotion regulation as well as experience an environment where emotions are experienced, but they are not so big or so out of control that they could be scary or overwhelming or uncomfortable. So see what you can do, practice for yourself, because the work you do will be amazing for you and your kids, and then help your kids practice too. Help those youth you work with, help those children you teach, so that they can also go out there and build those skills to have solid emotion regulation. See y'all soon.